Well, the second part of special correspondent Willow Bay's interview with Marc Andreessen continues now. She asks him about Google Glass and how it is the computing platform of the future.
You know, these things always start out looking wacky. The idea that somebody would have their laptop out at a cafe used to be wacky. The idea that somebody would be staring at their cell phone when they're having dinner would be wacky, and these are not commonplace things. When you try Google Glass, when you try that thing on and you get the internet right there in your field of vision, I mean, at least for me, it's an absolutely magical thing. And that's just the first generation of the product. You know, in 5 years, 10 years, these things are going to be unbelievable experiences. I think people are going to love them.
It's a magical thing, but is it really a revolutionary thing?
Well, let's put it this way. What if every EMT on the planet, right, when they're heading into a crisis situation, had every medical procedure they could possibly need to be able to deal with, wounded patients right there in the field, right there in their field of vision. So they're trying to do any kind of procedure, and right there they've got step-by-step one of the best surgeons in the world walking them through it in their field of vision. Don't have to pull out their phone, don't have to call anybody, don't have to bring the expert. It's just there. And I think that kind of thing, you just view the internet overlaid on the real world. I think it's transformative in a lot of different areas.
All right, fair enough. That was a good example.
Thank you.
better than watching the runway shows in your Google Glass and
Probably
pointing to
true.
that as transformative. Talk to me a little bit about the IPO process and the IPO market. First, let's start with the market. We haven't seen a consumer IPO, a consumer web IPO in quite some time. What's going on there? Why is it such a tough market for them? Well,
the IPO process is mostly broken. There are the occasional companies that can still make it out, but the number of public companies in the U.S. has more than dropped in half since 1977. Went from about 8,800 in 1997, 8,800 in 1997 to about 4,000 today. Basically through regulation and shareholder activism and Reg FD and Sarbanes-Oxley and all these things, we as a society have decided we don't want young companies to be public.
And you call it a parade of horrors that they have to go through.
Oh yes, it's an absolute horror show. It's a series of traumas that new companies are put through in the public market, and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And there's no movement right now. There's no movement in the other direction to make it easier. And so basically what's happening is we're evolving into a two-tier market where the older and slower and slower growing companies are public, and all the new dynamic companies are staying private for much longer. The result of that, we think, is bad for society because, of course, most retirement account money is invested in public stocks. Those retirement accounts no longer have access to growth. We think that's a big problem. So far, we're in the minority on that.
Talk to me a little bit about, I know you're on the board of directors of HP, and we're not going to talk specifics, but talk about the public markets. How much time do you think Meg has to execute her strategy?
Yeah, so Meg has laid out a path for a multi-year turnaround. She's been very clear on the milestones. She's been very clear on the duration. The board is 100% behind her. The board is unbelievably committed to this. And so we've got her back. We're supporting her all the way. The shareholders as a whole and aggregate have been very supportive of this. And that is what this company needs, and it's also what this company deserves.
And do you think they'll give her some breathing room?
I think they will. Actually, the stock is up, even quite a bit just in the last 9 months. And so I think people are starting to get a sense of what she's about and what she's doing. And also, just frankly, how good of a CEO she actually is.
Okay.
I think she's outstanding.
And you're committed to that board, staying on that board?
Yeah. I come from stubborn people. My stubborn gene has been triggered and is in full effect.
But honestly, did the shareholder vote trigger your stubborn gene?
No. The whole thing. This is the Silicon Valley company. This is the company that built Silicon Valley. This company deserves to be an absolutely glorious success story for decades to come. And I am going to stick with it for as long as I can possibly be useful.
All right, one last question. You called 2012 the year of software as a service. What do you think we'll be calling 2013?
Yeah, very interesting. So more software as a service, more smartphones. Probably the big thing this year, tablets are on an unbelievable takeoff rate. And then the other thing I think I'd point to is the $50 Android smartphone is about to hit the market worldwide. Smartphones are about to be put in the hands of another 3 billion people who don't have them. And that's probably the single biggest thing that's happening right now.